We'll be back from the break, and it's time for us to continue making sure that we update you and to make sure that you understand the business world from the local perspective, the international perspective, as well as getting to understand which stories are making headlines across the entire business world.
Yes, and speaking about stories, I'll take you back. If you started the show with us, at least we promised to get back to the discussion of borrowing money, what you need to know when you need to borrow money. To what extent should you even borrow money? Do you even need money? For what purposes is the time that you need to borrow money to sustain your businesses, and the extent at which you're borrowing? A case in point we were highlighting when while constructing and targeting, government compensation. You go to the bank, you get a very huge amount of money because you want to construct a mafuta kumpina road reserve. You want to construct a hotel. You want to construct the hospital, clinic, just near or close to a road reserve, targeting a compensation from government, forgetting or not considering that at some point it is getting back to you, because government is going to ask you, number one, the questions that they ask. Did you know that this is a road reserve? And you're going to answer no. That is a very vague, answer at some point, because you're able to use your eyes at least after every kilometer, if not, it's just not even kilometer. After like 800 meters, between 600 meters and 800 meters, UNRWA puts its cement, that road reserve cement, that block that you see standing, it is always written UNRWA. If you ever see that, that means you're not supposed to encroach that particular land or that particular segmentation of land there whatsoever to construct there. And you go borrow money to construct their targeting, a reserve. You gave an example of that. But as Joram comes in, as I conclude on this one, when do you borrow, or when do you know that now you are in danger? You have they call red flags that you shouldn't be going to the bank to borrow money. Number one, you have got areas or circles whereby, okay, you're saving their money or you're saving money here and there, and you find yourself in a situation where every circle you have got or every place you have got, they're demanding you. I mean, you borrow from Sonko to pay Rita debt. You borrow from St. Rita to Vina Circle.
It is actually the trend of the generation. Someone borrows from here, you pay here.
It is a trend.
You borrow here, you pay here. You borrow, you pay. You borrow, so you end up having.
Where does that leave you financially?
Actually, you look financially stable in a viewer's perspective.
And that is financial indiscipline. Because you're never going to have any money with you every
all the money
time
you get, you're putting it off. But it goes back to, I do believe the reason behind it is, it goes back to the salary earners. In most cases, when you look at the salary earner, you've got a lot of expenses that outbeat your income, or the income that you get at the end of the day, or that you receive on your payroll. So during the entire month, once you run out of cash, the best option is to borrow. Now, once you borrow, the coming month, the first thing you have to do,
pay off debts.
Pay off the debt, because you will actually underline and say, you write down how you're going to spend this monthly income, and you're like, let me first clear off a debt. Now, if you're to say someone is earning 2 million, and during the 2 million situation, you've borrowed 1 million, or let's say 500,000, but you still have rent to pay. So at the end of the day, you first clear rent, you clear off a loan that you took, so you're left with 1 million. So 4 weeks again, you'll be like, this 1 million won't take you again. You'll have to go and get another.
Did you
so
know
at the end of the day, it is...
there are people who are not even saving anything at the end of the month when they get their salary. Because from what you're saying, it's like they spend the whole salary before they get it.
Exactly. They already know where to put the money. Okay, it's good to plan. If you're planning for your money, it is good to plan for your money. It is your money. So
now we're speaking about salary earners here, and you need to check yourself where you stand. And after that, you find an alternative.
There was a time
and we're not saying you quit your job, but can you find an alternative means? Either you create, you cut your budget, you cut your expenditure, or you create another source of income.
No, surprisingly, sometimes people tend to say salary earners don't have very huge expenses. But do you know a self-employed person spends more than a salary earner? And this is one of the reasons I do believe businesses tend to close without profits.
A self-employed spends more than a salary earner.
You know why? Because they know money is there every day. I've been in a situation whereby, I'm not saying self-employed, but I've been in a situation whereby money comes in on a daily. That you're having money, you're having 50,000 on a daily, you have 100,000 on a daily. Now, such a lifestyle, you always think, even tomorrow I'm getting the same money. You're going to overspend that money. Now, for a salary earner, sometimes, if I told you you've budgeted well for your money, and you know that, why, it's too sentence I can keep this money, I can use this money.
I disagree, Zora. Unless you're not a good planner.
No,
unless you're
if you look at the plans that you have, let me just give you a case study of mine. You're saying, Jerome, you're earning this money. How are you going to spend the money? You're like, okay, this money will meet this money will meet this. Now there's always that portion of money that has nothing to do at a moment in your plan.
Didn't you answer the same? Didn't I ask you the same thing a day before? And you're like, you, Joram, your money to have nothing to do.
No, here's the thing. Now, okay, let me get back to the situation.
Okay.
So that money, there's always that money. Okay, like, there is no money that has nothing to do, but there is that money that is not in the plan as of now. Yes, and you've not planned for it, or you've planned for other things, and you're like, oh, there is that excess money. So you're like, okay, let me first put that money aside. Then you first utilize this. You clear off certain things that you're supposed to clear. Then because you know that is where you're going to have your plan. Now, for someone who makes money on a daily, he will be like, no, why worry? I will have to use this one. Relatively, they'll just. I use the money anyhow. You're receiving 50,000 today. They say you go to a restaurant, a posh restaurant, you eat good food, and at the end of the day, you're like, even tomorrow I'll still maintain the same lifestyle.
Unless you're not a good
But when you look at that, no,
I'm not saying that does not happen. It happens.
But when you look at that, but as a salary earner, you can plan well for your money.
But do you know, people who make money on a daily, unless you do not want, unless that's when I said, do you know your purpose? Do you know what even you want? You can't tell me at the end of the week or at the end of the month if you want to buy something, if you've got a budget that you're going to spend how you spend on a daily. That means it will require you to set an amount and you drop that off. You either save it in the bank, wherever you save it in the circle, save it for investment. There is now where you can save, other saving materials that are there or investment companies that are there. You can save that money there. Do not allow yourself to be in a situation where your money is idle. Your money has got nothing to do. Because that money that is idle right about now, the next hour is going to be valuable. The next hour, its value is going to change in case you know the right thing to do with it. And that's why we're here to tell you that, hey, there is space that you can put money there. For example, you can put that money in capital markets. You can put it in stocks, or you can invest it in investment companies, so that your money can have value. At least there are people you say who were living that way. And we're here to change that perspective, because at the end of the day, if you want to build your wealth, you want to plan for your retirement, there is that kind of change you need to create around you. At least I hope you have learned about something. Maybe to tackle, as we conclude, Jerome, on this discussion on the reasons of borrowing. We were speaking about when you realize that I don't need to borrow. You don't need to borrow if you see that, hey, your debts are here, your debts zikutuga, they're almost on your neck, chopping off your neck. Can you now, this is the time you go into a self-rehab and meditate and pray to God and find something to do with your hands and go and make money. I'm not advising you to go and do another 6th debt borrowing from a 6-person, 6 organization, going to a 4th microfinance when the other 4 circles are demanding at the same time. You're going to put yourself in danger, under stress, and you'll end up dying. And we do not want to lose you. What you do, try to go find something to do that is going to help you create income for at least one circle. If you make a 1 circle payment or 1 circle debted clear, or you credit it, that means that you have got that relief burden off. And that is because simply is we plan. Do you want that particular borrowing? Even why do you need it? It does not matter that, or it does not mean when you feel a headache, you don't have money there and then you think of death, that death is coming your way. No, there's some things that are patient. We have to be patient at some point, and patience pays around making sure we save for ourselves. That is all what I have to say about debts and how and when you need to acquire credit, because at the end of the day, the bank is going to be on your neck pushing for its money.
All right, and besides that, now let's take a look at the SMB Insight. And in today's SMB Insight, we're going to look at something to do with the tax literacy. And we want to understand the tax mobilization journey. And with this, the URA has always designed means of expanding Uganda's tax base and easing the tax burden on business. The tax literacy continues to remain an important step in ensuring people get to know of the taxes they are supposed to pay and how to do it. This is the SMB Insight.
My name is Hafsa Seguya from Uganda Revenue Authority. I sit in the tax literacy unit as a tax expert, and my duty is to walk the journey with this taxpayer in terms of sensitizing tax education. That is why I'm here, to make it clear whenever we get an opportunity to speak to the public, we make sure we utilize it. At least I'll have changed those 1, 2, 3 clients to jump on board and do the right thing. Definitely, as URA, we are leveraging on a number of aspects. That includes collaboration. When we are collaborating, definitely we look at other government agencies where we feel we need to increase on the tax base. That is our register. Point in question, let me give you an example. You may say my register is narrow, maybe my rental income tax register is narrow. But when I share information, say with KCC and Ministry of Local Government, I look at those who pay property rates. And ideally, want to pay property rates, you should have a commercial building somewhere, either residential but for commercial purposes. So we are looking at that. And secondly, creating awareness. We have I think at least tried to create awareness. We have gone in secondary schools. We have opened up tax clubs in secondary schools because we want generations that appeal to taxation. Generations that know that when you go into business, when you have income, you need to give back to government in form of taxes. We have gone into the universities. We work with NCDC to see that we include in the curriculum taxation, so that one grows up knowing that taxation is not a burden. But how well do you record your business records to see whether you have made a profit or not? Because ideally, some people think that whenever you open shop, you're going to pay taxes. But some have now woken up and they are aware that, for example, income tax or presumptive tax for small businesses. Once you can't make a total of, say, 10 million and in excess of 10 million, we will not pick the income tax. So ideally, it is a matter of the knowledge gap, creating awareness and doing your business proper to see whether you will pay the taxes or you will not pay the taxes. And lastly, maybe what we need to know is every government needs a source of income. And a source of income of government is ideally taxes. It works within us. If you pay the pay as you earn when you're employed, somebody who is not employed chose to do business. And in other words, they will pay the income tax. So whatever you choose to do, provided that income is not exempted from taxes, ideally we will pick the taxes. But what we need to know is how do we compute the taxes and when do we compute them, so that Ugandans need to know how often should they come to me. It's like saying a trading license is once a year. then how frequent will I come to you? If I am looking at presumptive, it's once a year. I come once a year and I meet you the following year. So we are trying to create awareness in all sectors to see that they understand us. They understand how taxes are computed and who pays taxes, who is eligible, who isn't eligible. There are people who are not eligible. For example, a school. When I look at a school, it is for educational services. They're exempted from VAT. And educational materials are exempted from VAT. But when somebody doesn't know, they will feel it is a burden here and there. We only look at them for income tax purposes. And I look at income tax for only private schools. The government-aided schools, I don't go there. It's not somebody's business. It is just a deployment of a particular staff to serve there and to give those services there. So basically that is what we are trying to do more of awareness, sensitization, and probably making it simpler for one to understand why we do what we do and why we do it the way we do it. But that does not deter you from giving me a return, because when you push in the return, it paints the picture of what has happened, so that we are both in agreement that this year you haven't done much, there is nothing I'm expecting from you. And secondly, it bridges the gap in the system so that we don't give you an estimated assessment. We do not think for you. It implies that you've already painted the picture. It's what we have. Let's move with that until the following year. Force. We have children, we have the youth that are not yet in the workforce, are still in school, we have the elderly, the retired, but we still need to contribute minus those groups so that we get the services together. It's like going to a clinic or a hospital and you find at least the startup drugs or medicine or attention that one can give you before you enter into the arena of paying. That implies that that is what government has afforded at that level. But they won't ask you, did you pay taxes? Do you have a TIN? They are meant to serve every Ugandan. So we need to look at such things. And maybe the other thing, what I would like to point out is we are looking at a business league that has come from an arrangement where paying taxes wasn't that much emphasized. And we are bringing them slowly on board to enter it. Normally jumping from one behavior to another, it's a gradual process that we need to appreciate. People were used to smuggling, others were used to magendo, others were used to all sorts of things. But here we are trying to put the economy into the right shape. So we do not expect a yes. There is some resistance that we face, but ideally with time as we go on talking to these people, they appreciate that the cost of smuggling and getting in the smuggling, the cost of illicit trade, the cost of counterfeiting is very high than the cost of complying. So ideally that is where we want to be. We do not want to make it too forceful, but we want to inculcate into a culture of appreciating why you need to pay taxes.
There has actually been a move by the Uganda Revenue Authority to actually see that domestic revenue is actually increased. And with the move has also been, they've actually been activations through going to various rural areas, trying to teach these particular trader communities and different people of the available taxes, one, and also to teach them how to pay the taxes, both electronically and how to get to the regional offices of URA to clear off the taxes and why they need to pay the taxes. And according to the SMB Insight here, what has been also revealed is that they realized during COVID that there was less information about the available taxes in the country. And so they decided to embark on a countrywide tour to see that people get to know the taxes.
Yes, and I've seen URA, reaching out. It has been to my district.
Okay.
At least I've seen them, riding around there, and they appreciate the fact that it is one of government entity that is highly equipped with the youth. When you look at the URA team, that are always making sure everything is in line with the taxpayers being in knowledge, in the know with everything to do with taxation. The youth has been employed at URA at, I can say it's at 80%, if I'm not wrong. 80% is youth. And that is just an appreciation. But back to the tax knowledge and tax compliance within the community. For about around the population we have got, the business population, we have got just only 1% of the people are paying taxes, are being compliant. And the reason, like you say, people were not having all this knowledge that, hey, I can even pay, even which kind of tax am I supposed to pay? So the move on which is being embarked by ERA to make sure it feeds with people the right information. But regardless of that, people are still worried with the taxation. You had one of the manufacturers we had the other day when she was highlighting if taxes could be revised again. But look at the country like Uganda, where we have got a lot that is that needs to be mitigated on. We have our debt that is high, we have things that we have to do with our health, and then manufacturers want taxes to be reduced. I mean, sometimes it's not fair.
There's also a very big concern about the digital tax stamps. URA reveals that the number of people who actually applying applying to get the DTS, because you have to apply and then you go and buy them. The turn up is actually high. But however, when you go to the trader community, they say that surprisingly is that things are actually worse than they were initially, because now you will expect if it's a bottle of beer or wine, that you would actually get more money, or let's say 1,500 from it as a retailer. I don't know why you're excited about the beer and alcohol.
That's why you spoke about the beer and wine.
Okay, because okay. Let's go with water. If price of water or sugar that has it, it actually incurs extra charges. So you can actually see why, in most cases, prices are still shooting up, because all these charges
it even
are
goes,
added.
it comes with the charge, and moreover the public isn't aware at some point. The end user, the end consumer of the sugar that has got a digital
they don't know
stamp,
why these prices are actually shooting up.
They don't even care at some point which one is genuine and which one isn't.
When you ever get deep into conversations with most of these particular retailers, they'll give you the picture. Someone draws to you the picture, they show you how this is impacting onto their business, why they still have challenges in getting the let's say, the turnover, the sales turnover that they were expecting out of their sales. So it is quite difficult to
because
understand.
Government is trying to regulate how we call standardized commodities that are out in the market. Whereas government is doing that as an end user, some of the end users, some of the consumers do not know which kind of sugar is genuine for me to take, which kind of bottle is genuine for me to take. Do they even know if now the sensitization could be now onto public, not on not for the traders? Can government now move on to sensitize the public that, hey, when you see this kind of digital stamp onto a soda or onto any product, buy that, do not go for this. But that information, Jeremy, is not there in public at the end user basis.
No, that
Rather,
goes
it's
back to
traders.
the issue that I actually
the cost
thought
goes back to the traders.
That is also another big challenge that I think of a very big concern. Challenge, and the fact that information dissemination, more so when they go to village areas, there was an outcry that it was too much of the English than the local dialect, because people would prefer someone to come in two versions. If you're going to be equal, you use English and Luganda or even Lusoga. Now, if you're moving to areas like Mbale, you get someone who is going to do some translation, so that if I told you've used an English terminology that will be hard for me to interpret,
definitely, taxation terminologies are hard.
Very hard. So it's
now,
always,
how can you tell someone digital stamp and it remains a digital stamp when you go to Karamoja?
No, at least tell them it is, let's say, tulese kano ka sticker oba kantu tujakate kangagondi kano ka representing anti this product is fake.
So they should as well be flexible.
Flexible with the language.
Okay.
And though details show with some of the trainings that have been processed is that URA has been ensuring this will be happening, and in most areas it has been effective. that you go to Gulu, they use Samacholi, they go to Arua. So most of these places. And I do believe in areas where it has not yet been implemented, it is yet to be implemented because URA is in a move to see that domestic tourism, domestic revenue is actually increasing. It is a Friday, and what we're going to do is let's head into a break. We do return to discuss more about the video making business. You've seen video directors, and this time around we want to go deep into it. I also have a very big question concerning the video vixens that are always in the videos. Are they paid or not?
Video
Stick around.
vixens.